Hey everyone, friends. My name is Dimitri. Welcome to the second episode about building my dacha, country house, and it will be dedicated to screwing in screw piles. In the first episode, I was working on marking the site and the plot itself, as well as places where the utility shed and container will be located. These places are now clearly visible because the grass has been mowed. Well, in these places. There's still mowing on the rest of my hectare. Here, the container will be located. I'll screw in just 4 108mm piles here, and over there will be the utility shed. After all, I decided to make it not 4x6, but 6x6 square meters. For the utility shed, the piles will be smaller, 76mm ones. The binding will be done with beams, not channels. As I found out, doing the binding with channels is like getting a golden foundation, 1,300 linear meters of channels. So everything will be like this. Simple. First and foremost, I showed the installers my marking, but I said that sizes and diagonals might have errors. Let them measure everything again. They have more experience after all. I took the container sizes from the internet. By the way, closer to the end of the video, I'll tell you exactly how much this foundation cost me and how much has been spent on building the dacha so far. After all measurements, they started preparation for installation. First, they dug the pile installation locations. Then, with a motor drill and auger about 50 centimeters, they drilled a meter down. Next, the actual pile installation. This thing is placed on top. A pipe is inserted into it, and one person holds it, and the pile, another holds the pipe. The process goes on, sometimes stopping to check verticality with a level. After screwing in the second pile, an installer came up to me. The installers came up to me now and said that the soil is very, very soft. And in connection with this, the 108mm piles might still be okay, but where I wanted the 76mm ones, here, there might be a problem. Maybe they'll have to weld additional sections even on the 108mm ones. And welding, how many more of those will they need? I don't know how many will weld there. Well, usually how many do they weld? Do they weld about 2 meters each? About 2 meters each, or how much? Where? Maybe? You'll screw in there. Here's currently 1/2 meter. That's what happened. The pile story stretched out, in general, until Friday to finish up. Well, today is Friday. I'm driving to the site. The installers are already working there, finishing the foundation for the container. As a result, for the container, we got 4 3-meter piles onto which 2-meter pipes are welded, with sleeves as well. So, everything is welded and, respectively, the pile head. This increases the cost quite significantly. A bit more than 1.5 times what was planned, the increase for this container foundation. Well, yes, the price increase goes to this foundation for a container, compared to the foundation for a utility room. I've decided to give up the idea of such a large utility room altogether because, damn. Just one foundation for this thing turns out to be not 1.5 times more expensive, but actually slightly more than 2.5 times. Basically, I've completely reconsidered my need for a utility room, especially such a large one. The foundation alone for it comes to almost 50,000. For 50,000 rubles, I'd probably better buy a regular utility shed there, 6 by 2.5 meters, put it on some bricks, and it will stand. But besides the container foundation, the guys are also doing something else. I told them to install piles for me under the gate because tomorrow or the day after, they'll be putting up the fence. And I want to have the gate post done on piles right away anyway. So now they'll screw in 3 more piles, respectively, for the gate and for the wickets. Let me sum up. I plan to make a foundation for a 2.5x6 container screwing in 4 108 diameter piles, 3 meters long, with caps. The standard installation cost for this set is 14,000 rubles. That's 3,500 rubles per pile. That's what I was counting on. But things didn't go according to plan. The soil on my property turned out to be weak. It turned out that the piles were easily screwed in and wouldn't reach the solid ground. So I had to weld an additional 2 meters of pipe. As a result, the cost of one such pile was 5,400 rubles or 21,600 rubles per set instead of 14,000. Given the complexities of the foundation for a 6 by 6 meter utility building, I decided to give it up for now. I was planning to install 9 76 3-meter long piles for it, expecting to pay 24,300 rubles, or 2,700 rubles per pile with installation. But given the soil situation, the cost would have been 48,600 rubles, which is already a lot, but there are no options with the gates. The 108th piles were also installed for them, but with two 2-meter welds, since they needed to extend an additional 2 meters above ground. The cost of one gate pile was 7,300 rubles, or 21,900 rubles for the set. Also, 2 deliveries of 1,500 rubles each, total 46,500 rubles. Honestly, it's a lot more than 7 planes in the ground. But who knew there would be such a story with the soil? My impression of this foundation is, of course, mixed. The piles themselves, as well as the method of installing them, specifically loosen the soil. As a result, they're already very loose even after they're installed. I certainly won't be using this type of foundation for my house or other capital structures, although I had planned to, given the specific characteristics of my soil. It's scary to even imagine how much it will cost. Looking ahead, I'll say that I've already built the foundation for the house and the utility room, which, by the way, has already been converted into a bathhouse. And there will soon be a separate, large series about it. The cost of the entire construction so far has amounted to 51,500 rubles. This is the pile foundation I ended up with for the container and gate. They'll come to put up the fence tomorrow, but that's another story. There will be a separate episode about that. That's all for today. Until next time, everyone.